Nobody's home. I'm knocking on a hollow shell. Soulless body, empty iris. Meaningless consciousness, it's torturous. What kind of sorcery is this? My own thoughts are against this mess of a vessel I possess. They tell me all I have to do is color inside the lines of society, but even the colors are undefined, and I can't seem to get my mind to tap into this infinite prism of love that surrounds me. I'm a waste of space. I'm out of place. Not good enough to belong to even myself. Lost in emotions. Lost in a motionless ocean. They tell me there is land somewhere. But I am lost in the sea. Between who I should be and who I am. They say my body is my home, but there's nobody here.
We picked this topic, gender, sexuality, because of how intricate it is. I had to address this in a certain way where I take everyone through a human journey of the self. I kind of used metaphors and symbols to represent 5 aspects of the self: the body, the mind, the emotions, the energy, and above all, the consciousness, which ties it all together. So we used the fashion show to represent the body. We used the emotions to represent, the emotions were represented by the dancers. Visual arts represented thoughts, and energy was represented by musicians. All of it was tied together by the set design, which represented consciousness.
The creative response was taking the set design, all of the people that were involved in it, and breaking them down into 4 elements, 4 visual experiential elements. So the creative process was not just a set design, it was the whole entire entry sequence, who you were interacting with, what you were seeing in the actual set, the sequence of events, the relationship between all of the different mediums of art.
By now, every human in this room has already formed their own version of you. Different from the one you thought you knew. You're a nobody, undefined to yourself, outlined by everybody else. There are 100 versions of you to pick and choose, but it's no use. The self you feel and the self you see detach. Who are you? Does your identity feel like your own? Do you inhabit a body that feels like home?
The fashion show represented the physical state. We took very masculine males. They were bodybuilders or Olympian champions, and then we took very feminine females in contrast to them.
So I grew up in Egypt. At age of 17, I was number 1 in my weight class. Here when I got picked to join the Olympic team. I'm just someone who grew up an athlete. All I know is just like train. I'm a father. She's a girl, so I would love seeing her growing up as a girl, being a mom one day. So that's my best hope for her.
So I've just recently moved into the business scope, and it's made me more aware of my gender than anything, because it's, if anything, has set me back more and more, because whenever I go to any type of event and I'm trying to talk about the company, it feels like I have to kind of, one, prove that I know what I'm talking about, because it's already in question being a woman in a heavily male-dominated field.
We're missing one person. Basically what I do is I'm the CEO and designer of Inherent, and what we do is we give men confidence through clothing to talk about their feelings and destigmatize men's mental health. Now I'm doing New York Fashion Week this week, debuting my new collection there, so it's just been an amazing honor and very grateful. Men in general have really bad mental health. The society has taught us to just keep things in, be stoic, just bear the weight without talking to people, which is why the suicide rate for men is 4 times higher than it is for women. I really wanted to bridge the gap of pulling that confidence to be able to talk about your feelings through clothing.
When I was growing up, we didn't have anybody wearing hijab in the fashion world. It was a very depressing place, trying to be modest. Not only men can dress in a masculine way, but women can pull it off also. Especially being, a hijab-wearing woman, it's frowned upon to quote-unquote dress like a man. But there was nothing masculine about those suits and outfits. The women that wore them, including myself, felt the most attractive in those suits that night.
The HXS collection was a very experiential, concept-driven clothing line that was not just about the clothing itself. It was the concept of shame versus shamelessness. And what does that mean for either gender? How much skin can you reveal with these draping cloths before there's a sense of vulgarity?
Propelled into this indecipherable world of questions. Which version of you is love? Is fluidity freeing? Of all the endless variations of you, which one are they seeing? And what do you choose?
So the visual arts, we had an interactive portion where people were able to eat, they were able to dine, they were able to meet one another. They were able to talk about the show while the rest of the show was very immersive. This part of the show was very interactive.
A real quick charcoal piece for you. So the piece I chose for this show, I chose because one, I think charcoal is an exciting medium. And no matter how many times I did a specific piece over in the past, it always turned out a little bit different. So the content of what the piece was itself was the fact that we were talking about gender and sexuality, and I wanted it to be something more about similarities than differences. That's what it was. I wanted to put down these harsh lines, these skeletal structures, which we all have, and then overlay it with what we have on top, much like what we do with ourselves. With the audience as well, I was going to find out what this piece was going to be at the end.
This was my second time sponsoring an HXS event, and working with Hira and Amish has been a total pleasure for me. True professionals in what they do, bringing about a wonderful show. Again, a show that's conducted in a safe space for all who attend. Very good atmosphere all around. And they throw in some extras, like you go to a show you don't expect to be fed by people. So having folks come in from a long distance like Pennsylvania, Connecticut, and then being fed halfway through the show is a nice surprise for those who attend the show.
Beautiful fluidity. The freedom to take any form, manipulate the shapes of my existence and shift into a blissful state of consciousness. Self-love, self-enlightenment, acceptance. I am all of them at once, stepping into the highest form of my existence. It's love and nothing less.
Inner gender fluidity, that is an emotional state of being. So that was represented by the dancers, because dancers are able to really expressively do that in their fluidity of emotion. So what they did is that when they pushed these fabric light elements up, they changed in form. There was a confetti type of material that fluttered in the air, and then gravity and the laws of nature brought it back to its original state of being.
The theme of genders during this show, especially in the last choreography that I performed, because I was trying to do sub-movement. They were like more feminine, more elegant, in contraposition of masculine movements. So the show was really combining every kind of person, because we have like different artists, different dancers, different genders. And it was beautiful because everyone was free to be and feel at the moment who they were. Everyone has always been attracted to the same sex, like it's in our nature, even the animals, too. About sexuality and gender, I feel really open. I don't like to give, labels to people. I think we are all the same. We are all, human beings.
So this show was kind of very vulnerable for me. I wanted to achieve a new openness in my performance. And overall, I feel like I was able to just close my eyes, shut the world out, and be in the energy of the crowd, which was perfect.
We very selectively picked the musicians, the artists, to actually take you through highs, through very lows, through like rap and piano, which was very light and fluttery. And all these different energy levels were taking you on different highs and lows. And so what we showed is that we could adjust all of these things. We could adjust your perception of the physical state. We could adjust your emotional state, your energy state, your rationale. And those are all very changeable in the moment.
What have I become? Nothing more than a body of cells, the soul in search of love. I can't find her anywhere. All I know. Thank you for coming to XYZ. Thank you so much. Thank you, Natalie.
We can, so that's why the punchline of the show was everyone is different, everyone belongs, because I think that more important than the answer is how we treat each other. And that will only happen if we try to understand other person's perspective and try to come closer and closer to that boundary. And we don't have to cross over to the other person's space if that's not what you're looking to do. But if you can come to the middle, you can create a place of love and peace. I understand sexuality, what it means from the inside. It's not about physical attributes. It's about knowing how powerful you are as a transformational being. Sexuality is more about spirituality than it's about the physical aspect of it. If you know that power, there's nothing that can stop you.
A leader without the constraints of religion, gender, culture. I don't think about becoming a power woman. I don't think it's something that I strive for. I think that I have a responsibility, I have a skill, I have a talent, and I'm a steward of this earth, of the ideas that I have, and I just want to be able to do the best with everything, all my skills, all my tools, and be able to share them with the world. And if that comes in the form of leadership and influence, and I can leave an impact before I leave, then I'm happy with that.
I think the greatest achievement was that we pinpointed who is suffering in this entire conversation. This conversation is not about style, it's not about fashion, it's not about expression, it's not about, oh, I want to be like this or that and give me the freedom. This topic was really about people who are born with certain limitations. And they have no choice. This is the cards that life has dealt them with. I'm so glad that we teamed up with Gender Guardian. It's a school based out of Lahore, Pakistan, where they are giving them education and skill set to have the kind of jobs that all of us enjoy in the free world. And that is something that's been lacking for them. It's not about style, it's not about fashion, it's not about he, she, they, it, or whatever pronoun movement. It's about giving them a respectful life, just like you and I enjoy. A transgender person should also be able to be a lawyer, a teacher, a musician, an artist, whatever it is. But at the same time, it has to be, like I said, a balance, a respectful balance. And in addition to the Gender Guardian, we also address the other side, which is there's a lot of mental illness associated when it comes to this topic. So we teamed with NYC Well, which is an organization based out of New York, obviously part of the state. And they backed us up on this show. They have a 24/7 hotline. If you're suffering with mental illness, you can call them and they will provide a ton of support. They have many different departments and channels that they can assist you with.
In the past few years, I've been shooting with my company projects for HBO, Game of Thrones, Westworld, some things for National Geographic, Discovery Channel. We shoot a lot of documentaries, we shoot a lot of commercials for big brands, Adidas, Chivas, all those kind of things. It's New York City, you get to do the best and the biggest projects you could do in the world here. What Amish here brought to the stage here was something totally different, because they were mixing a bunch of different disciplines in the arts also, which make the event something unique and very powerful that I think the audience wasn't expecting.
We may not know where we came from or where we're going, but we do have power over this aspect of our life. What do we allow? And then the only thing that you have to do now to make this experience beautiful, joyful, peaceful, is to question those elements. What thoughts, what emotions, what energies are you pouring into this life of yours? As long as you're being the best version of yourself, you will know what the answer is.